What pops into your head when you hear the phrase game changer? It seems like a lot of reviews nowadays, if they like the item, they end up calling it a game changer, even if it's just a plain old good item. In order for something to be a game changer, in my book, it needs to be so innovative that you can't go back to not using it once you've used it. And that's exactly the type of item that we're talking about today. What's up guys, thank you for joining me. I'm your host Sam, and today we're going over two different items that are part of the same system. The first is the FALCAM F38 camera quick release system, and the second is the same quick release, but it's integrated into a plate that replaces the stock plate in my DJI SC2. The whole reason I became interested in a quick release system was I was just sick of switching out the mounting plates on the bottom of my camera every time I wanted to switch between, say, my tripod to my gimbal or my gimbal to my GorillaPod. It's really time consuming and tedious to have to take the plate off, screw a new one in, and then mount your camera, as opposed to what the FALCAM F38 allows you to do, which is there's just a receiver on each of your mounting points. You have one plate that stays on the bottom of your camera, and you just snap it into whatever mounting point you want. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, what's the big deal? Just switch the plate out. Like, really, who cares? At the end of the year, if you spent 5 minutes a day switching out the plate on the bottom of your camera, that's 30 hours that you'll never get back. And as this test shows, we're not talking about a small difference in time here. It is a night and day difference using the quick release versus using the old method, and this isn't even taking into account finding something to screw the plate into the bottom. The way these things work is dead simple. There's a female screw on the bottom, much like the screw on the bottom of your camera. There's a male screw on top. The female screw at the bottom gets mounted to whatever you want to mount your camera to. The male screw gets screwed into the bottom of your camera, and now there's an intermediate point between the camera and the mounting point. Let's talk about the prices of these things. The regular FALCAM F38 quick release plate comes in at $32.95, and I think that number is about perfect. If it was less expensive than that, I would feel like it's maybe cheaply made, and if it was more expensive than that, I'd feel like I was getting ripped off. As for the FALCAM quick release that's designed specifically for the DJI RS2 or RSC2 gimbals, that plate comes in at $55.95, and I also find that price to be reasonable because it integrates directly into the gimbal without any nonsense or extra parts used. And what I mean by no nonsense is if you were to use a quick release with the OEM plate that comes with your gimbal, you'd now have two plates attached to it as opposed to the one that's designed for the gimbal where you just have one plate. Perhaps the only technical feature on either of these plates is the button on the front of them. The button allows you to remove the top plate from the bottom plate and thus remove your camera from whatever it's mounted on, but it also acts as a locking mechanism. If you spin the button counterclockwise 90 degrees, it locks in place and you won't press it accidentally and have your camera fall off whatever it's mounted on. The only thing I don't like about them is where they place the button. It's on the front of the quick release, which doesn't really matter on the one that goes on tripods or GorillaPods, but on the gimbal it's a problem because first of all, if your lens is very big, you're not going to be able to reach it, and second of all, it's just you kind of have to like sneak your finger around and give your camera a reach around, and I'm not really into that. The only other quote-unquote feature to go over on these quick release plates is how well they're built. Like, they're sturdy. They feel like they're built like tanks and they're gonna last a good long time. They're also heavy, so it feels like the materials are just really rock solid. Let's talk about arguably the most important part of any camera quick release system, and that is the confidence that it puts in your head that your camera isn't going to fall off your tripod or your gimbal and come crashing to the ground. And I'm happy to report that neither the quick release on my tripod or my gimbal have given me any cause for concern. They've never gotten shaky or wobbly or weird. I've always felt like my camera is secure and in place. And really, safety is what's most important to me when it comes to using a new piece of gear. Yes, convenience is important on a day-to-day basis, but I don't want that convenience if it jeopardizes the safety of my gear. While we're talking about the confidence factor, I feel like I have to bring up the name, FALCAM. Of all things to name something that prevents your camera from falling off different mounting points, the best your marketing team could come up with was FALCAM. Really? I mean, I'm sorry, like, I know that's on the nose and kind of nitpicky, but for God's sake, if you were selling parachutes, would you name them like doesn't open or splat? While we're talking about the insane marketing for these things, I felt like I had to go over this excerpt from the Amazon ad. F38 series quick release kit. Cleverly blend the ancient Chinese mortise and tenon with modern mechanical structure. A push to install, a press to remove. Incredibly fast. Safe lock to avoid damage to the device caused by mistouch. Universal Arca Swiss plate fits for standard 38mm Arca base mount in the market. I got no useful information from that paragraph, but anyway, in closing, the FALCAM F38 quick release system is so simple that there's just not that many features to go over in a review video. I'm happy with them, I'm really glad that I found them. They've made shooting a lot more quick and efficient, and that's all you can ask for from a quick release system, on top of being super reliable. So that's all I got for today. If you got something out of this video, consider going down and hitting the like and the sub button. It means the world to content creators like me. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Sam Has a Spending Problem, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!